politics are very, very easy to understand when you like, oh, why would a politician vote for this, or why would he push that bill forward, or why would he do this or that? It's very easy to understand that when you just look at the incentives and you look at, okay, well, who are they like? Are they on the board of what companies is this politician on the board of, or was on the board of previously?
Right.
Who do they know? Where do they used to work? Do they have buddies who used to work at Raytheon? Do they have buddies who used to work at Lockheed Martin? Do they have buddies who used to work at JP Morgan?
Yeah.
Like things like this. It's very. Then you can trace. Okay, why would he push this bill forward? Or here's the clear monetary incentive for this guy.
Yeah.
To push something like this, or for these people to try and, what's it called in America where lobbyists pay off politicians to like get stuff pushed through, right? It's politics is best is not politics has nothing to do with the public good.
No,
nothing.
It's about money.
It's all about lining the pockets of people. That's all it's about. And when you look at politics through that lens, it all makes a lot more sense. Yeah. So Michael, I'm curious as to why do you think Biden is pushing this gas stove, like banning gas stoves angle?
It's basically to there's this whole greenie move, the greenie movement.
So you think it's a climate change?
It's a climate change sort of stuff, but there's actually a financial incentive behind it, which is the carbon credit system.
Right.
So if they push the carbon credit system, and there's been a bunch of cryptos that have tried this and stuff, and it's just not ready yet. But basically, they basically created another way to incentivize a whole bunch of nothing as well as tax.
Yeah, so there we go. There's your answer, right? Yeah. So they push through a carbon credit system. It's just another way they can tax people.
Yeah, and they control the system. So basically, like, okay, we've got the oil and the whole oil car industry mafia down pat. Cool.
Yeah.
Now we need to make the next one. So it's like, fuck, let's get everyone on electric, and then but the thing is, the reason electric's taken so long for it to come out is because they're really trying to monopolize sort of certain things, right? I mean, I don't believe the only reason we went into Afghanistan and stuff like that was because of like, the terrorist stuff and everything like that. There's some, I think in the 80s, right before, not right before the Soviet Union fell, but like basically like 5 or 6 years before they fell, the Soviet Union was fighting in Afghanistan, and they ended up surveying the largest deposit of lithium in the planet ever. Like it was like trillions of dollars of lithium. And then we came in there, and look at that. There's plenty of lithium there. But then from there, there's this huge other story that they found a huge amount of lithium and a bunch of rare earth metals in Mexico as well, right around all the drug cartel areas.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So there's some stories about like, some of the cartels being used to clear out certain places. So like, oh look, that's free land now.
So now you can come in and mine it. You know where the biggest lithium mines in the world are?
Where?
Southwest Western Australia, where I'm from. Where they're from? Greenbush. I'm not from there, but I'm down that area. Greenbush.
I claim it all now.
It used to be a tin mine.
A tin mine.
It used to be a big tin mine, and now it's just a giant open cut mine.
Yeah.
It's gonna end up being the biggest open cut mine in the world. I believe is the Kalgoorlie super pit where they mine gold.
Yeah.
This is gonna be bigger than that.
Kalgoorlie, just that name is insane.
That's the name of the town.
The Kalgoorlie.
But the Greenbushes lithium mine will end up being the biggest open cut big pit mine on the whole planet, and it's just lithium. Like I think it's like 70% of the world supply comes from that one mine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you met George Gammon, right? Yeah, we were in Miami with George Gammon. I mean, one thing when we were talking about on that stream was, he was right about this, he was right about the commodity story and stuff like because of all the stuff that's going on with the supply chain as well as like us pushing into electric, like. These metals are worth a ton of money now, as well as like because of the whole world having trouble because basically China and Russia kind of going offline because of the wars and stuff, and then also some problems there with like shutdowns there, and that's most of the COVID lockdown things going down in China are mostly based off of like revolutions and like strikes and shit. There's some crazy stuff like basically like there's a lot of the central part of China is basically farmers. And what happened, now this was kind of like 4 or 5 months ago when this happened, but basically a lot of the banks went under there, and basically $60 billion of savings got stolen basically from the Chinese farmers. Now imagine, like, now these people don't have the money to buy fertilizers, don't have the money to pay this and that, and so, because even though it's communistic, it still is like, it's paper, it's money, right? So there's starting to be some problems there. So like the whole country, like they're using a lot of these lockdowns to kind of like, oh, there's COVID right here, and then it's also the area where all the kind of the protests are going on, and they hit the police force, it hit them hard, and like shut it down basically because the country's like really in some big ass trouble right now, and then what they're doing is just locking down most of the country in order to like cement like we're gonna end up going through some huge economic problems, but we'd rather be like the country of China instead of like three. Like normally China is like 3 countries or 4 countries.
Really?
Yeah, it's usually like, it's usually like 4 or 5 dynasties or 4 or 5 like emperors in there, and then they all kill each other, and then one guy takes over for 2 years, and then he dies, and then all splits off with the general. That's always like, look at Chinese history. It's literally like it's usually 3 to 4 countries in China, always, until one guy just like wins the big war, takes half of China, and then he comes and tries to steamroll the rest of them, and then he's like he takes over the rest of China, and then a year later, 6 months later, yeah.
You can bring up tweets on this thing, can't you?
Oh yeah, of course.
There's a very funny Alexander, was it AOC? Alexander Ocasio-Cortez. She tweeted out something, and this it just illustrates my point about manufactured consensus and like the propaganda they will push.
I'm so happy I don't follow her. I just looked her up and I don't follow her.
I don't follow her either. I saw her through, I think it was Ian Smith.
Sure.
Ian Smith was the one who
share the screen, man. I think I got her up. So
there's one here about.
Let me make.
Oh, there we go. That's the one. Yeah, about gas.
Yeah.
Did you know that ongoing exposure to NO2 from gas stoves is linked to reduced cognitive performance? Like, they have to they'll push any bullshit to try and get the mass of the populace to go along with whatever narrative they want, whatever policy they're trying to push.
Do you want to know what my mother said? I told her about this today. She's like, so they want us to use electric stoves, so when the power goes out, we can't cook.
Bingo.
Whoo!
Yeah.
That was my mom, you guys.
Yep.
Within 2 seconds, she figured it out. She was like, so we have to use electric stoves, and if we use electric stoves and the power goes out, then we can't heat anything.